everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Paige. If you've never seen any of my videos before, I recently graduated from USF, the University of South Florida, and today I'm going to be doing a review on the school and just my overall experience. I always knew I was going to want to do this video after I graduated. I've done a few college videos in the past, and specifically for USF. I've done a bunch of apartment tours, dorm tours, I did a driving campus tour. So if you're thinking about going to USF, definitely check out those videos as well. But I did want to sit down and make this video today to just do an overall review of the school and kind of the things I liked and didn't like about USF. I know these videos are usually really helpful for seniors, high school seniors who are thinking about where they want to go to college, or even if you're transferring, this might be helpful for you. I'm breaking up this video into a few different categories just to kind of cover all the bases. I think I did academics, social, athletics, campus overall. So I don't want to make this intro too long, but if you want to learn more about USF and my experience overall, then just keep watching. So first off, I do want to say how much I love USF and how great of an experience that I did have. I just graduated in May and I already miss it and wish I could relive college because USF just made it so great. And I actually did not want to go to USF at all when I was first applying for schools. I actually only applied to one school, and that was UCF, the University of Central Florida, which is actually like our biggest rival, so it's kind of funny. But I was dead set on going there. I had no interest in USF because it was my hometown school, and I kind of wanted to go a little bit far away, but not too far because I do want to stay close to home. So UCF was about an hour and a half away from my house, and USF is literally a 20-minute drive. So for me, off the bat, I kind of had a bad impression of USF just because I had these preconceived notions about what it was, and everyone from my high school and all the surrounding high schools would just go there because it was our close school. Everyone kind of says it's a commuter school, which I do see a lot of just because there are so many high schools around that just feed right into USF. But after going there myself, I would say it's a very diverse school, and we do have a lot of out-of-state students and even international students. Even though I was dead set on going to UCF, like I had my housing in and everything, I had a roommate, like I was definitely going there. I didn't even apply to USF, and my mom was like, why don't you just apply and see if you get in? And I was like, okay, there's no hurt in doing that. So I ended up sending an application and I got accepted. I did get accepted for the next fall term, which I think like most people are looking to do, but I know a lot of students get accepted for the summer prior. I don't know if that's based on GPA or like test scores, but sometimes you have to complete a summer term before you go into fall. Like I said, that wasn't the case for me. I was able to just go in fall of 2016, right after I graduated high school. I would say there were a few different things that kind of pushed my decision to choose USF over UCF because like I said, I was very dead set on going to UCF. I wanted nothing to do with USF. I thought I did not ever want to go there. I will be honest and say a main reason that I did end up picking the school is that they gave me a very generous scholarship, and I wasn't awarded anything at UCF, so I would have had to pay full tuition there, and USF was covering a large portion of my schooling. So I took that into consideration, and just knowing that I did want to stay close to home, it was good for me because like I said, I didn't want to go way out of state or to like FSU or UF. I didn't care about going to like a big historic school. So to me, USF and UCF kind of were on the same playing field after considering, like I said. It was closer than I wanted to be, but in the end, I think it worked out because I went home like every weekend if I wanted to, and it was just so easy to go back and forth, and that's really important to me to stay close to my family. So overall, it did really work out in the end. So I ended up canceling my housing at UCF and accepted the offer at USF, and then from there, I just went and put in housing there. And I didn't want to commute. That was one thing. My sister actually went to USF right after high school, and she commuted and she absolutely hated it, which was another reason why I kind of had the idea of USF being like not the school for me because I knew my sister's experience. But my parents insisted that if I do go to USF, I should still live on campus and get like the dorm experience, and I'm so thankful that I did that because I feel like that made all the difference for me. If you're considering going to USF and you're torn between commuting or living in a dorm, I highly recommend living in a dorm at least for a year. Even if you're coming out of state and decide to live in an apartment, I do, like I said, give the dorm at least a chance. I was one of those people that said I will never share a room with anyone. I never have, I never will. I did not want to do the communal bathrooms. So because of that, I actually got an apartment style dorm, which gave me my own bedroom, and I only shared a bathroom with one other girl, and then we had like a shared kitchen and living room space. So there was 4 of us in one apartment, but it still gave you like the dorm kind of feeling, and it was in the middle of all the rest of the residence halls. So to me, that was like a perfect in between. It was pretty expensive. It was probably, I think, the most expensive dorm out of all of them. But like I said, because I was getting that scholarship award, it kind of covered that for me. But either way, I know a lot of friends that did stay in like communal shared dorms or even like the suite style, and they thought the experience was really worth it as well. So like I said, I definitely recommend living on campus at any school you go to, but especially at USF. I think that's what really overall made me feel like I was going away to college, even though I was right down the street from my house. That made all the difference for me and really gave me the best experience overall. And I'm so glad I decided on USF because like I said, I absolutely loved it. All 4 years were great. and I already miss it and wish I could go back. But I even look back on like my past 2 years and really miss those days, but I even more so I think look back on the days that I was in the dorm, because that to me felt like the most like college, because because you're right there on campus, you're immersed in everything, and all like the new student connection things they have going on. It was just like, I love that feeling. Like starting college is so much fun. But now I'm going to get into the specific categories that I want to talk about USF. I'm going to start with academics, which is ultimately the most important thing and what we're all going to school for. I will say I had a great experience with all of my teachers and classes. There was only one professor that I can speak kind of poorly about, but I'm not going to name any names, obviously. It was just a class that was taught probably not the way it should have been, and all my fellow classmates could agree with me because I remember no one was really having fun in that class. But that was one out of however many classes I took over 4 years, so to me that's pretty good. And like I said, every other professor was really awesome and great. So I know that will depend on your major, what kind of courses you're taking. Personally, I was an advertising major in the mass communication school. That's what has all of like broadcast, PR, journalism, but I did the advertising track, and I also got a minor in business entrepreneurship. So none of my classes were super hard. I did have to take like prereq math and science. USF is a big medical school. A lot of people go there for nursing or even to be doctors. Like all my friends were either like biomed, nursing, everyone kind of goes for that track. But at the same time, I did know a lot of business majors and even people in like my school or a lot of education too. I actually ended up working for the College of Education, so it was cool because I kind of got to get an insight for a whole different school and major. I'd say the advising staff is pretty helpful. That's who you're going to go to whenever you're picking out your classes or registering for the next semester. They kind of help you lay out everything that you need for your major and all the courses you have to take. I've mentioned this in another video before, but one thing I do recommend, if you go to school for orientation, they will probably try and put you in very specific classes or have you register for things that you might not need to take in that order. I mean, that was just my experience when I went for orientation. I was very overwhelmed and I felt like they were forcing me to register for class right then and there. My suggestion is to take your time with classes at USF because you want to research obviously the course that you're taking and also the professor that teaches it. That's the best thing to do, is just go and rate my professor and see what teachers will be teaching that class to ultimately get the best experience. I always had luck with rate my professor. It helped me get, I think, such great teachers as I said that I did. So don't feel like you have to rush into anything and take your time when you're registering and picking out your classes. Aside from your major courses, you will have to take a few electives. I found that there were some really interesting classes while also pretty easy. Like, I don't want to sound like promote to just take an easy class just because it's easy. But when you have a really busy schedule and all your other major classes are pretty hard, sometimes you just want like a little filler class. I do think USF has a great selection for that. I was always able to fill in my classes with other random things if I needed them, and I never had any bad experience or anything that was like way hard that I wish I'd never taken. So overall, what I went to school for, to get an education, was really great at USF. Like I said, the great teachers, and they have a great like course selection as well. I'm sure for every major. Next, I'm going to talk about the campus in general. I really like USF because it is a big school, but it's not too big. Like, I don't go on campus and I feel so overwhelmed that I don't know where anything is. I would say you can walk pretty much from one end of the campus to the other in probably 15-ish minutes. So it's really not that hard to get around, especially if you don't have like a bike or anything. I remember my first 2 years when I lived on campus, I would walk to all my classes and it was never more than like a 10-minute walk. To me, USF was a very familiar campus because, like I said, I live here and I've been there for multiple different things just throughout my life, and it was nothing really new to me. But I know a lot of my friends that are out of state like fell in love with the campus and just how beautiful it is and all the palm trees, which I'm used to, but if you're out of state, that might be like really cool to you. It is a really pretty campus. There's lots of greenery. The area itself that USF is in is kind of sketchy, can be. It's kind of right in the middle of like a bunch of different things, so it's not really like secluded at all. I guess that's with any college town, but some of the area can get kind of scary if you're like alone at night. But overall, it's not bad, and Tampa in general I absolutely love. I have another video talking about my favorite things to do in Tampa, so if you're interested in that, go ahead and check out that video as well. So I talk about a lot of the fun things around campus and different things to do as a college student. But overall, I never had a really terrible experience in the area that USF is in. Like I said, it's not completely ideal, but it really isn't bad, and especially once you're on campus, you feel very safe. I kind of mentioned earlier, but USF is not as historic as like UF and FSU. Which are all like brick older buildings. USF is pretty modern and they're always updating a lot of the buildings and stuff, but I kind of like that about the school because I mean, I just kind of like more modern things. But I know they tore down a bunch of the old dorms and redid the whole like student village, which is really cool. And if that's something that's not really as important to you, to have like really deep roots in the school and everything, then USF is definitely a good option. They do obviously have great traditions and it's really cool to keep up with just like how the campus has changed over the years, but they're definitely always looking to improve it and update it where they can. I like that on the campus everything is really centrally located to one another, like the student center, the dining halls, the dorms, and the classrooms, like I said, are all within like a 10-minute walk of one another. I could easily go back and forth in between classes and either get something to eat or go to the library. Everything's kind of right in the same location. It does depend on what your major is. Usually your classes are in like different parts of the campus, but again, there's always something nearby that you can go and do whatever you need to do. Speaking of dining, that's another category I wanted to talk about. I definitely saw the dining improve throughout the 4 years that I went there. When I lived in the dorms my freshman year, I did have a meal plan. There was only like maybe there was 2 like main dining halls that we would go to, and they weren't bad, but they weren't always good at all. And they ended up opening up another one, I think my sophomore, junior year, in the new student village I was talking about, which was a lot better. They still served the same kind of food, but I don't know, it was just better somehow. They also got rid of the one closest to me my freshman year. They replaced it with kind of like I think it's like a rotation station, like it's usually like different food every day or every other week or something, and also more like fast food kind of places. Like that's what's in the student center, like Chick-fil-A, Papa John's, Moe's. I think they still have Papa John's. But they also added a sushi place in, I think last year or the year before, which I absolutely loved. I was sad that I hadn't been there earlier because my whole senior year I just ate it all the time. But they did do a lot of changes recently to the dining, and there's so many great options. Having a meal plan is really helpful, especially if you live on campus. It might be required at least your freshman year if you're living in a dorm. You get like swipes for each meal at the dining hall, and then you also get what's called bull bucks. No, it's different. Dining dollars. Dining dollars will let you eat at like Chick-fil-A and all the fast food restaurants. But overall, they do have a really great selection, and like I said, there's always something like nearby each of the classroom like areas. So I remember there was one like actually in one of the buildings that I had classes in. They had kind of like a little mini market where they had sandwiches and some like pre-made sushi and stuff. So it's always really convenient and always has great stuff to choose from. So a little bit about the social scene, social life at USF. One big thing obviously at any school is Greek life, and I was actually in a sorority, so I can say that that is a really great way to get involved and meet new people. I would say the majority of my friends obviously I knew through being in a sorority. I know that's not for everyone though, so there's plenty of other ways to get involved. There's so many different clubs and organizations, and I actually wish that I got more involved in those because I was kind of in Zeta and that was it. There's so many clubs that are like so specific to like certain things that there's something for everyone, definitely. Greek life isn't as big or intense at USF as it is as most other southern schools because it's not like that. It's not as expensive, it's not as big in general, so it's really not as intimidating, I would feel. If you are kind of on the fence of going through recruitment, I do encourage it. I know everything's kind of weird right now, like this year it's virtual, but hopefully one day it'll go back to normal. But it is a really fun and great thing to be involved in. I had so many opportunities through my sorority. I was able to do a lot of leadership and stuff for my resume while also having a lot of fun and meeting friends. So if you are worried about it being kind of like some other big schools, don't worry because it's really nothing like that. I think it's pretty small and close-knit, so there's nothing to be intimidated about if you are thinking about joining Greek life. And the last thing I want to talk about is USF's athletics. So we don't have a football stadium on campus, which really sucks. I think that would have made all the difference, honestly, when it came to athletics. But what's cool is that even though we didn't have a stadium on campus, we always had so much fun at football games. It was just as exciting, and game day was so much fun. There was always different tailgates and different things to do. So even though we didn't have that on-campus stadium, our stadium was like less than 20 minutes away. So we would all go over together on like buses if you're going to a lot, or you can obviously just drive yourself with friends. I think they would do like if you have more than 4 people in a car, then you can like park for free at the stadium. Obviously it's ideal to have a stadium on campus because you can just walk out your bedroom door and go to a game, but that's something I really liked about UCF. But in my experience, that didn't change that much for me. I still had tons of fun on game days, and it's really just what you make of it, no matter if you have a stadium or not, or what your plans are. If you just make it fun and hang out with your friends, then it's gonna be a good time. We did have some other sporting events on campus, like soccer, I think, baseball, basketball, those were all on campus. Besides football, the only other thing I actually went to was basketball, which was super fun. I love basketball games, and the arena is really cool. Well, it was the Sun Dome, but now it's the Yingling Center. But that's like a full, complete arena, which is really cool, and it's fun to just be right there, like I said, on campus, and you can just go to a game whenever you want on like a weeknight. Again, I wish I went to more, but the times that I did go was really fun. This is kind of like a side note. I'm just remembering whenever it's like homecoming week, they do stuff at the arena. Usually there's like a homecoming concert, and they do kind of like a outdoor festival concert. Like the one at the Sun Dome is usually like a big artist, and then the one outside is like usually little bands, like a kind of like more festival vibes. And I think they do a carnival on one of the nights of homecoming, and something like in the ballroom, like a prom kind of homecoming thing. I never went to that, but we had so many different like formals and semi-formals in my sorority. So again, that's something extra fun to do when you are involved in Greek life. Another thing for athletics is intramurals. I don't play sports, so I did not play any of the intramural teams. I know my sorority, and I think every sorority and fraternity have teams for different sports. My boyfriend, well, I just called him my boyfriend, but he's my fiance now. I'm not used to that, sorry. But he actually played, I think, flag football and ultimate frisbee. and I know he loved it. It was something for him to get involved in because he actually transferred his junior year. He was a year ahead of me, but he also was not in a fraternity or anything, and he still made a lot of friends and had a lot of fun getting involved in that. So like I said, it's not essential to be involved in Greek life. Definitely get involved in something because it does make a difference. Intramurals was his thing and he loved it, and I know all my friends that played on teams really loved it too. I feel like this is a really long video, but I also feel like I'm missing things. I just want to cover kind of the bases of everything. There's so many more things about USF that are really great, and if you have any specific questions about the school, make sure to leave them in a comment and I will get back to you. I know these are some of the things that people mainly consider when they're trying to choose what school they want to go to, so hopefully it was helpful and I gave some insight on different things that I noticed that I loved and didn't like as much about USF. As you can see, I didn't have really much negative to say at all. It kind of just depends on what you're looking for in a school and what USF has to offer in comparison to any other schools you might be looking at. But again, I hope this was helpful and gave you some more ideas about what to consider when picking a school, or even helped kind of make your decision if you're in between. I'm always open to help answer more questions about the school. You can even message me on Instagram. It'll be in the description down below. But that is my full review of USF. Like I said, I love the school. I would definitely recommend it, and I just had a great experience overall. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and thanks for watching.